Zest is in, where resilience begins, not fixing the cracks.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Zest is Zen with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that'll take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. Today, I am super excited to welcome my guest, Pippa Haywood. She is a magic coach, guiding heart-led visionaries to align their energy, unlock their intuition, and expand both their impact and income. Very important. Through her powerful blend of subconscious work, energy healing, and joyful accountability, which I'm sure we'll explore more, she opens the door to a new way of doing business, one rooted in ease, alignment, and true self-expression. I'm sure we will explore all of that today and much, much more, as well as I'm wondering what really happens when we start trusting our inner magic more. If you feel called and invited to share a little love by helping amplify my guest voice like Pippa's today, by subscribing for future episodes, it costs you absolutely nothing, just a click of the button, but allows this powerful episode and the wisdom shared here today to reach many more hearts and many more many more hearts, many more minds. Thank you. And may this episode bring you the clarity, expansion, and deep trust in your own magic. Right, I am super excited to talk all things magic. Welcome, Pippa.
Oh, thank you for that lovely introduction. And I don't believe in coincidences. I feel like it's perfect that you said hearts twice. It shows the focus, right?
Yeah,
it shows the focus. I love that.
So
I love
before
it.
we
That
dive,
was a beautiful welcome. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Pippa. So before we dive into all the here and now present magic of you and your fabulousness, I always like us to just go a little back just to find out, where did this all come from? And I'm sure it wasn't just one moment, but I'm always just intrigued to know what inspired you to infuse all this beautiful magic into the world?
Well, it's kind of been a lifelong journey for me, really. I'm very blessed, I feel, to have been brought up in an environment where it wasn't perhaps normal. My parents were super into spiritual exploration, to meditation, to exploring Eastern philosophies and energy and anything alternative, I suppose. It's
becoming much more now, isn't it? Everyone's talking manifestation now, but I know exactly what you're implying.
Absolutely. It was really interesting, actually, because it was always something that I felt had to be kept a little bit quiet, that whole aspect of myself. And although I think there's a lot of other things in there, witch wound, that kind of thing, that we can maybe talk about later, but a lot of that was my upbringing. Oh, maybe don't talk about that at school. Maybe don't share that, because obviously they were concerned that my friends' parents wouldn't let me go around, wouldn't let me go around there, things like that. So although that was always my life, it was always fairly separate, almost like there were two parts of me. And although as I got older, I began to share things. I mean, partly when you're a teenager, suddenly those kind of things start to weird is cool. So I began to share that a little bit more when I became a teenager, and obviously with trusted people as I got older. But then one conversation, actually, with one of your other podcast guests, Rob Gilbert, I was having a conversation with him, and I was having a conversation with him, and he said to me, "What would happen if you just let those two parts of you. And that was such a huge moment for me. It was like permission. I think I talk about that a lot in my work, is the permission. Sometimes we need to give ourselves permission to feel, to think a certain way, to act a certain way. So often, it's always the first thing when I'm doing guided meditations with people is I say, give your body permission to relax. And in my mind, I see a picture of almost like little messages being sent out to all those different areas of your body with a permission slip. You can relax now.
I don't know why, but I'm thinking straight away, I know, like, of a little child at school, walking around with the slip that they've got to hold on to, and don't lose it, because if you lose it, then the teacher will be like, where are you? What are you doing here? Oh. Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
You're so right. That is exactly how I see it. That's exactly how I see it.
The body's like, and then it goes, oh, we got the permission slip. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's safety, I think, isn't it? Yeah. It's that, it's this permission is safety to us, I think. And I think quite a lot of the issues that we have in all areas of our life are around feeling safe. We don't perhaps open up to things that would be good and healing for us, because it doesn't feel safe. We don't necessarily open up to our earning potential because it doesn't feel safe. And so those giving ourselves these little cushions of safety is really, really important. I told you I'd go off on a tangent.
No,
I did straight
you
away.
didn't at all. Actually, I think obviously I've not asked every single person, but as much as possible I like to ask my guests, like, what inspired you. But I feel like you're the first person that has actually expressed, if you may, me calling it this, coming from a conscious family. And now actually it's so interesting, because we can straight away think, oh, well, she had that conscious family, she had those conversations, so it was less about unlearning and relearning. But you just showed the other side of it, of it was almost like, and again, it's not saying that it was from your family, but maybe just this inner knowing from reactions you got of, oh, actually, I need to keep this quiet. And you never think of that side of it, because, often people are kind of doing what they're doing in sometimes families that are also not explaining anything. And then being like, I don't know, there's just something in me that doesn't feel right. And it's like an exploration of life to get to a certain point of where you're like, oh, I see. Whereas it's interesting that you had almost that gold, that magic, but it was, shh, don't tell anybody. And it's so interesting to know the opposite perspective of life, because I think we always think, oh, what if I was born into, what if, and that's why I always never undervalue asking that question, because I believe it brings so much out. And even as someone that can relate to that or not relate to that, it holds so much again that, oh, okay, I see. Actually, I used to think like that. I used to feel like that. Maybe I could, So thank you so much, Pippa. So it was definitely not a tangent in my eyes. I'm always, as we were joking about, I'm always, here's the dot, and I'm to get back to the point, but it's all good. So thank you so much for expressing that. And even when you said as a teenager, that sometimes it's okay to be weird and wonderful, if that, I think something like that you said. But equally, you can see the other side of it, where you've got to be cool and you're doing things that, we won't say what, but we kind of know, like things that you don't want to do, which again, you're like, why did I do that? So I just think there's so many different avenues and routes and paths in life, and I'm just so happy that you really held on to your inner truth and believed in yourself, and you've used something really, really powerful as well. You said, and shared it with people you trust. because again, that's so much wisdom, and a lot of people again will get to a point where this is me, share, and then other things come up, and then it's like, oh, why did I say that? Why don't I just, whatever, fill in the dots. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, things certainly feel a lot, like you say, manifestation isn't an unusual word to hear now, and even things like meditation kind of.
Yeah, even that in itself was a time of being like, what, you go into a room and you,
Yeah, exactly. And kind of understanding about the different kinds of meditation. And I think that's a really interesting point that you raise, is because about going into a room, because actually I think one of the most powerful shifts that we can kind of come to about the idea of meditation is that it isn't simply sitting in a room. And I think that is something that I'm tempted, there's a phrase, but I don't know what it is, but the true spiritual people would have perhaps understood that a long time ago. But I think sometimes the meaning of meditation got a little bit warped and muddled over time, as with a lot of things.
Even manifestation, like what my first understanding, I would love your take on this. My first understanding of manifestation is all things good, and that it's a vision board or something that you want that you haven't achieved yet. We are manifesting, if we're going to use that word correctly, every single time we open our mouth, every single time we say a thought, every single action we take. And unfortunately, manifestation doesn't always mean a millionaire, the best car, this lovely house. Sometimes actually you manifest not what you want because of the way you're using your words and the way you're showing up and the way you're consciously or unconsciously navigating your life. So that was a big shocker for me.
Absolutely. There's one of my favorite quotes is a Bruce Lee quote, and it's one of my absolute favorites, which is words are spells. And that's every time we speak, that's something out there. In the Bruce Lee quote, he used it about talking about negative self-talk, essentially. So don't speak badly about yourself, because even if you're joking, because your body doesn't know the difference.
That's what I was straight away thinking. And being, and it's not saying all Brits, that's just something we can talk about because we are a Brit, but there's such a heavy culture here of sarcasm, of playing it down, and I was very much one of those people, and it's so interesting because I was reading Florence Scovel-Shinn's book recently, even though I'd come across her work previously, and she said written exactly what you just said, and the keys are everywhere. And it's so true because I couldn't deal with, say, things that constantly kept happening in my life. They'd sound really silly things like I'd be the one that like the paint would fall on me, or the bird would poo on me, or I'd fall in the puddle, blah 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 blah. And they seem like really trivial things constantly every single day throughout my life. And what did I do? I told everybody about it in a fun way, and guess what? I got more and more and more. And people can say, have your opinions, but I'm telling you now, when I consciously changed that does not happen to me anymore. So people can think, and you know what, even if you're thinking right now, no, try it, test it for, and not one day, test it for a week and see how your life changes. That's all we can say.
Absolutely. Change the way you speak, you can change your life. Absolutely. That's one of my quickest tips that I give people is, because it can be hard for us to believe this stuff sometimes as well. And if we don't believe it, it doesn't have the same power behind it. So
Absolutely.
affirmations was sometimes when I work with people, they're like, I've been saying these same affirmations for like years and he's not doing anything. And it's like, yeah, because the belief hasn't changed
Yes.
behind it. As you're saying
Yes.
it, you feel like it's a lie and your body knows that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
But so a kind of a little workaround that I have of that is to say, I remember when I used to. So say, for example, with your example about the paint falling on, paint falling on you like this. I remember when I always used to have paint falling on me if I walk, or a bird poop on me when I remember when that used to happen.
Yeah.
And that small shift, because it feels slightly more believable, because you're acknowledging that it did happen.
Yeah.
But saying I remember then, so it's putting
Beautiful.
it firmly in the past. It doesn't happen to me anymore. That's something that I find to be quite powerful, because it matters whether we believe it too.
Absolutely. And I would love your take on this, Pippa. One thing that because we're obviously very unconscious unless we have a coach like you, that is what's actually happening as well. So when we're, you hear this inspirational person or something and, say, I am love or whatever it is. And then you're just like, again, you feel that, but you're not conscious of it. And then I remember someone saying to bypass that, because our mind is like an investigator and it loves to find solutions. Why don't you say, what if, or how would I feel if I was loved?
Yes.
And I just, oh my gosh, the change, because my mind was like, ooh, yeah, let's work this one out. This is going to be fun.
Brilliant. I
just found that really powerful.
Yeah, I love it. I love comedy. I love laughing. And so for me, a similar kind of workaround that I use is to embrace the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah.
So when it was quite a big thing for me, when I started saying I love you to myself, I found it quite
even
difficult.
That, like having this conversation that we've both done that, it's still, there's an awkwardness, isn't there? Still saying it aloud. Yeah. Odd.
And so my workaround for that was being like kind of hyper silly with it. Like I'd walk past the mirror and be like, I love you.
Oh,
and that's when I was able to embrace the kind of a little bit of like have a little laugh at myself.
Yeah.
And of course, laughter is one of the most high vibrational activities that we can do. That really, really helped me to get over that initial awkwardness. That kind of, and gradually over time, it starts to feel more true. It starts to, and you notice these changes in your body. Our body holds it too. So movement along with these words really helps as well. I think that's probably instinctively why I do the silly movements, because it's when you moving our body really helps. Whatever it is.
And something you powerfully touched on is you said about the body remembers, okay? Now, regardless of what's been said, which is still as powerful, think back to that. When you're moving, you're jiggling, and you've remembered something in a fun way, even if you're like, I can't believe I just did that, but you're like, hey, your body's like, that feels good. Whereas sitting there, I remember the first time I ever did the I love you thing, and it's nothing against the technique Lisa Nichols says, but I followed that technique. And I was there crying for hours. And I'm not saying, that's a beautiful release. But
that must have been what you needed. Absolutely.
Yes, and that's what I mean. But would I probably, at that time, there was so much release and it was beautiful. And I think that was a really powerful technique. But would my body and me want to go, let's do that again tomorrow?
That's a really good point.
So I think
that's such a good point.
but I feel like things have time and places, but we have to also think, when we really, really want to change something, repetition is key. And so I love that you could start with that first, that release, and I really love you, and I'm so sorry for all that I've said to you in the past, and have that moment with yourself if you're wanting to do that. And I personally found it very powerful. But equally, then listen to what Pippa's just shared of, all right, you know what, when, like, as you would do with something that comes up with your life, we're not going to sit and do it again and do it again and do it again. Let's think of a new creative way. Let's have some fun now. I love that.
Exactly. And creating, I think it's really important to create your own ways of doing things that feel right to you. Like, yes, absolutely, read the books. You've mentioned some great authors there. I don't think personally I've read those books, but I'm the names do sound familiar to me. But read these incredible books, find these amazing people, work with these amazing people, but then do it your own way.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? That is the key, is what? You can connect with Pippa right now, and I would highly recommend you too. But equally, Pippa is going to give the knowledge, the understanding, the wisdom that she knows is going to help and support you, but you essentially have to do the work. Yes, when you're doing that one-on-one, you're doing it with her, but think about, the percentage of our day. What are you actually filling the rest of that percentage with? Are you having that wow, incredible 1 hour session with Pippa, and then you're watching something, I'm not saying not to watch the news, but you're watching something then that fills you up with dread, with fear, with worry. And again, if you can watch that and be and know that you want to know about the world, but it's not going to affect you, and you can still stand as a pillar of positivity, and knowing that that's not always how the world's going to be, fine. But if you know that you are sensitive, you are easily upset by things, awful things that are happening in the world, maybe at a time where you are trying to transform yourself, that might not be the key time for you to invest your time and energy into that right now. And it's not saying don't, just be selective and always come back to you and how you feel, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think a huge part of that is ensuring that it is choice.
Yeah.
Choose what you consume, because I think quite often we kind of allow our consumption to be dictated by literally whatever is there, whether it's an algorithm, whether it's the kind of upper echelons of TV companies or news or media companies. Choose it for yourself. Don't choose according to what somebody else is putting in front of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I completely agree. For me personally, I experience and feel in so many different ways if I have consumed too much truth. I'm not saying it's not true, truth, news. If I consume too much of it, I notice it in every aspect of my being. I notice it in my physical health. I notice it in my sleep. Yeah.
But that's the thing is, because it is real on the whole. Sometimes it's exaggerated and repeated, and it's very clever how it's done. But on the whole, there is truth, because we always have to be shown truth. But equally, if you know that you're at a certain point in your life, and you've already got heavy beliefs and thoughts about something that you want to focus positively on, and then it just happens that the news is then showing you more of everything, more evidence of what you don't want to focus on.
Yeah.
As Pippa wisely said, you get to choose. And people will say, oh, well, you need to know what's going on in the world. No, that's their point of view. That's what they believe they need to do. You don't. And again, it's not saying it's good, it's bad, it's right, it's wrong. It is what it is, and you can see it in films, you can see it in books, you can go into a shop and hear it's music playing, adverts playing. You know, we can't actively control everything, but you do have a choice of how you respond to it. So I think that's really wise. Thank you, Pippa.
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea that there are some things that you can positively contribute to and then be able to leave it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, you know, that's the thing for me. If I see something really bad happening, you know, I'll read something, then I will find a way to positively contribute to whatever it is. If it's a monetary donation, great. If it's writing a letter, great. If it's telling somebody else about something positive they can do, great. And then I put it down.
Yes.
Like, it's about kind of, again, giving yourself permission. It's funny that came back up. It's about giving yourself permission to put it down, to be like, okay, I did that. I'm not, it's like allowing yourself to not dwell on it and to not, like you say, choosing to respond. You know, you make a response and then that's, you know, you kind of sever that energetic tie to it, really.
It's discernment, isn't it? Discernment. So I love that, because again, it's not saying, again, you know, put your head in the sand, pretend that the world is just rainbows and everything's perfect. But equally, maybe if you are in a position where you feel a little helpless and you can't contribute, there's probably always a way. Even if you believe in this or not, the power of prayer, you connect to your heart and you really see a vision of whatever you've seen in the highest light and of a better world. There's so much you can do. It's not always about money, but equally, I know that was something we definitely spoke about in the intro, because I think when I have fabulous guests like you, that, you know, you're doing such, I like to say it's not unique, because, you know, there's a lot of people that are also embracing their gifts, but it is unique to you. And I think equally there is this kind of this thing still of people wanting to do their gifts or things they're really passionate about, but still stuck in these kind of financial loops of, because it's something often within, it's hard to put a price on it, if you know what I mean, because it's it's the being of you and who you are, essentially. So I would just love your take on sharing a little bit more about that, because and people just really believing in the power and what they are infusing into the world, and knowing that should come back to you and bless you in whatever way blessing means in that person's eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting. I'm going to touch on something that you said a couple of minutes ago as well. Is that, and this does tie into your question, I'm not the only one doing this. I am not unique. There are so many people out there saying similar things to me, and that's one of my bugbears actually, is the whole marketing strategy of everybody else is doing it wrong. I'm doing this one thing that's different to everybody else, because it's just really insincere.
And it doesn't belong to us. It does not belong to us. It's something, there should be an abundance of healing, of joy, of prosperity for everybody.
Absolutely. And so this is something that I always say is, one, you can get the same, not exactly the same, but you can get very similar things to what I do, what I charge for, the free things that I do. You can get those from whole range of other places. You can find videos on YouTube. You can read books. You don't even have to buy the books. You can go and get a book from your local library if you're lucky enough to still live somewhere where you have library provision. Thank goodness.
Or you can Google. There's good books online.
Yeah, exactly. You can get all of this stuff for free. You don't have to pay for it. And equally, I really value the one-to-one time that I give to people.
But that's what I mean in the sense of unique. Unique in the sense of you are Pippa. I could say and do exactly the same as you, but I am not you and you are not me. And so that's when I say the word unique, it's because they get to witness you and your magic. And that's where we're all unique. So we can all say the same words, we can do the same things, but even this podcast, even if someone literally tried to imitate this podcast exactly the same, they're still not going to be able to, because they're not me. And so I want everyone to know that they're unique in that sense, that you get to work with Pippa, and Pippa gets to show you her wisdom, her insights, her knowledge. And I think that's really important.
It's like I could go on a podcast with somebody else and they could, like you were just saying, they could be asking me the same questions, but it's like we're talking about energy. Your energetic blueprint is different.
Absolutely.
So and we're communicating all the time, whether we're talking or not, we're communicating. And especially, like, it's not even only if, it's especially if you have maybe worked harder on your intuitive gifts, or you have natural affinity with certain psychic powers, whatever you want to call them. So you might have more communication in that way, but I believe that we are all more than capable of communicating without words, and all of these things that we would call the clairs or psychic powers, we all have those. They're as natural as our other senses. And so when we're having these conversations, so on this podcast, even if it was somebody else, the communication that we're having that isn't out loud is just as important as the words that we're saying. And that is a huge part of what guides us on this little meandering journey through the conversation.
Absolutely. Well, what does that really go back to? That often lots of us are unlearning the subconscious mind of what we've heavily embedded into our minds, often as children, let's say, not always, but we think, oh, don't say that, or but children are always seeing. So you can say what you want to say, you can do what you want to do, but the child is immediately getting their own idea and beliefs and thought patterns based on all they are seeing all the time. And so even when a parent might say, don't lie, and then they see, I don't know, someone that of influence to them kind of saying, oh no, I'm not going to say that. They don't have to say the belief, but the child develops something. And so this is why I think it's important what you just said, because subliminally, even now between both of us, if you were to say something, I used to sit there like, oh yeah, I don't have to say anything, but people will pick up exactly what is happening, the dynamic between us. So powerful. Not that I've been doing that. You're gonna look back now, you're gonna watch back the episode. Did she do that to me? How dare she? I am the guest. Sorry.
I loved your point too about children, about talking about children and the way children are brought up, because I think that's it's all of these natural gifts children have, and it's kind of often squished out because we're told, oh, don't, that's silly nonsense, I was very fortunate in that I didn't have that. I was encouraged,
Yeah.
you know, when I was having these thoughts or feelings or
Beautiful.
like there was one example, and you might even, oh, you're probably too young, but you might even know the car park that I'm talking about. There was a car park near where I grew up in the town of Salisbury, and it was a multi-story car park, and I was deathly afraid of this thing. I was terrified, and so every time we'd go there, I would freak out. I was very, very small. I would freak out completely. And so it got to and that kind of spread, and I started being afraid of all. It was like open air car parks I was fine with, but it was like, you know, the like multi-story car parks. I was so terrified of them. And this fear, it was so big, and I couldn't really express what it was, but not long afterwards. So it went on for, I don't know, maybe half a year possibly. Time feels really long when you're a kid, doesn't it? So it might not have been that long. And then they discovered that the car park in Salisbury was structurally unsound.
Oh my
and
gosh.
it was like,
Sunding the children.
Yeah, exactly. But it was so lovely because my mum never dismissed that fear. She would park somewhere else because she knew I didn't like it. Like, she supported me, and when she saw that the car park had closed for that reason, she showed me the you know, the thing was like, you were right, you knew that. And I think how lucky to have my intuition reaffirmed to me like that at such a young age. And I think that, I mean, that's part of the work that I do with people now, is simply just reaffirming that you had that feeling, what you followed it. Is
real.
That's
because it's been so shut down, and think of how many people would still never have that closure. And you know, they actively, even maybe as adults, are avoiding things that they don't realize had affected them as a child. You know, that could be something that could heavily still impact your adult life if it wasn't addressed. Of, you might, you know, put extra effort into every time you're going somewhere because you still had that anxiety, but you wasn't sure why you had it. Whereas I guess, and please like share if this is correct or not. I'm just making an assumption based on what you've shared, but I believe that your mum telling you that as well, I felt it helped you go, oh, so it wasn't all of them, it was because that one was unsafe.
Yeah, exactly. So I was absolutely fine after that. You're exactly right. Yeah. Exactly. It was like, oh, okay, like, done, finished.
Whereas you could still be now navigating, avoiding, you know, car parks, and people be like, and being an adult being like, I can definitely not say this now, like, this is silly now, and give yourself such a hard time, where, you know, like, wow to your mum for you know, sharing that with you, and beautiful. Wow, Pippa, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I want to be really conscious of your time, and but obviously equally, if there's anything, because I know we touched on it at the beginning about you know, stepping into your gifts, your power, working with you, to bring abundance into your life. And abundance not always just about money, but equally, the more the right money goes into the right hands, the more we can do more good in the world, I believe. So that's why I'm a true believer in it, and I think money is incredible. I had to really reprogram my own mind to do with money because of just things that let's not always point the finger, things that I created myself about it. And yeah, like, let's just really start really loving and embracing money, and knowing that the more circulation of money, the more we can all benefit and become more abundantly prosperous and successful in all that we're doing.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Money's energy at the end of the day, and so we can, you know, money, a fear of money, or almost a loathing of money, which I think quite a lot of people have, maybe even subconsciously, can really impact the good that we can do in the world. And being able to just flip the idea of it a little bit into the energy that we can pour into something that we believe in, I think is a really nice way of looking at it.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, and just thinking about the viewers, is there anything that just comes to your mind right now that you think they would really benefit from hearing about, you know, it could be a little shift right now, or whether to contact you about something, just something that they could take immediate action right now?
One of the most powerful things that I did a workshop recently, and this was one of the, obviously I go into it a bit more in depth in the workshop, and perhaps, I don't know, there might be a way of sharing a link to that somehow.
Yeah, anything
somebody
like
gets
that,
in touch
share
with
it
you
all
or
with
me.
me. Yeah, no worries.
Brilliant. I'll do that, because the recording of my workshop, and I talk in it about how money is energy, and how if we shift the idea of thinking about money as being just energy, how about we shift it into the idea of being an energetic being, an energetic being that we are having a relationship with.
Oh yeah,
we're in a relationship with this being, whether, you know, and we get to look at how that relationship is. We want that to be a loving, nurturing, nourishing, reciprocal relationship. And so one thing I invite people to do in my workshop is to write a love letter to money.
I did that. I knew you were going to say that. I did that. And beautiful, 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 beautiful. Yeah.
It's so powerful, and including all of those things in there, like if you've ever said harsh things about money, to apologize for those things. If you know, plan ahead together, because this is what I always say is, you know, it's a bit of a red flag in a relationship, isn't it? If you're in a relationship with somebody and you start planning your future and they're like, well, I think that's a bit much. It's a bit of a red flag. So planning your future together with money, the things that you and money are going to do together. And above all, I mean, this is kind of the absolute foundation of everything that I believe, and all of the work that I do is gratitude, expressing your gratitude for money and all that money has done for you, clothed you, fed you, sheltered you, your medical care. If you have children, it's helped to birth your children, you know, education, experiences, all of these things, money at the, you know, whether it came from your own pocket or whether it was, you know, there's a long convoluted route, money assisted you in all of those things. So it's feeling that real beautiful gratitude for that, really feeling it and acknowledging it in the love letter. That would be my
that's
my biggest tip, I think.
And you know, even as you said that aloud, it sounds so obvious and simple, but until you literally physically just said that, like, there was this love for money, but I feel like you just took it to another level in just that example for me, because
oh, that's lovely.
I like every single thing right now. Okay, yes, sometimes we get gifts, sometimes this, that, and the other, but still think wider. That gift from that person still had to have a root of money. Yeah, absolutely. I just think, wow. And that's why I love having these conversations, because you can have the foundation and then you just go to so much more depth. And I remember someone once saying as well, you know, if you're like, oh, I don't want to look at my internet banking, you have this, would you, again, someone you love, be like, oh, I don't want to talk to them this morning, I'm not going to look at them, do it. Give love and say, okay, you know, you're not looking how I expect you to. Well, obviously, I'm just thinking that in a relationship, you would not say that to someone. No, you're not looking how I want you to look.
But you might say, but you might say, oh, babe, do you need a bit of TLC today?
Yeah. Do you need a little rest?
Do you need me? What can I do for you? What can I do for you to
yeah.
make you feel a bit
How
better?
can I pour into you a little bit more? Yeah.
Exactly.
Power
yeah.
of words. But
Yeah.
wow, Pippa, really, what an incredible episode. Thank you so, so much. And just before you go, I feel like there's so much more we could have still unpacked, but just before you go, if there's anything that someone listening right now would really benefit from hearing, what would you tell them?
Oh, start with gratitude. Always start with gratitude. We just delved into it a little bit there, but yeah, start with gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we talked about just previously, if you're on that surface level, which, you know, I even realize with money now is on a very surface level, not really a surface level, but can you go even deeper? Can you think even wider? And I just think, yeah. So really thank you for that gem today for me. So thank you. And I hope you enjoyed the Zest
This has been
experience. Thank you.
Absolutely, I really did. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been so lovely talking to you.
You too. Thank you.
That's the magic that Zest is in.